The first time Johnny Depp talks about love, you don't expect what comes next. Not from him. Not from someone who's lived the kind of life most of us only see in magazines or in movie scenes. You expect the charm. The wit. Maybe a dramatic confession that sounds almost scripted. But instead, there's a pause. A long, thoughtful silence. He leans back, takes a breath, and when he finally speaks, it's not about romance as we imagine it, it's about the quiet moments no one else sees. The moments that never make it to the big screen. It's strange, isn't it? We think we know celebrities because we've seen them 100 times on screen, heard their interviews, read their stories in tabloids. But the truth is, all of that is a performance. The red carpets, the flawless photos, the witty quotes, that's a role, too. And when you strip all of that away, you find something different. Something human. That's where Johnny's version of love begins. Not in a perfect kiss under a Paris sunset, not in grand gestures worth millions, but in the smallest, most ordinary acts. The way someone laughs when they're truly at ease. The way they can sit next to you in silence and you don't feel the need to fill it. The comfort of knowing that even if the world is falling apart, they're still right there beside you. He talks about it like he's been through enough to know the difference between love and the idea of love. And honestly, he has. He's lived through whirlwind romances, intense heartbreak, and more media attention than most of us could survive. He's been praised, criticized, adored, and torn apart, sometimes all in the same week. Through all of that, he's learned that true love isn't always the firework display we imagine. It's not a constant high. It's more like a steady flame, one that you have to protect, feed, and sometimes fight to keep alive. He says the little moments matter more than we realize. Making someone laugh after they've had a horrible day. Staying up late just to listen to them talk about something that's bothering them. Remembering the way they like their tea or the song that always makes them smile. These aren't the scenes we see in movies, but they're the ones that build the kind of connection that lasts. And that makes you wonder, how many times have we chased after the big moments thinking they're what makes love special, when it's really the quiet, everyday moments that hold it all together? We spend so much time planning anniversaries, surprises, and grand declarations, but what about the small, unnoticed things? Johnny believes that's where the truth of love lives. But he doesn't romanticize it completely. He's quick to admit that love gets tested. And the real test isn't during the easy times. It's during the storms. Anyone can be in love when life is smooth and the world feels generous. But what happens when you're under pressure? When life throws you curveballs? When money is tight, health is fragile, or the world feels like it's working against you? That's when you find out if it's real. In his words, if it survives the storm, it's worth the fight. He's seen relationships fall apart because they couldn't survive those moments. And he's also seen, and experienced, what it's like when two people decide to hold on anyway, even when it would be easier to walk away. That's when love turns from a feeling into a choice. It stops being just about passion and becomes about commitment, trust, and grit. One of the most interesting things he shares is about individuality. He's learned, the hard way, that losing yourself in another person is dangerous. At first, it might feel romantic, like you've finally found your other half. But over time, it can erase the very parts of you that made the relationship exciting in the first place. He says the healthiest love is between two complete individuals, each with their own passions, goals, and identity. You're not supposed to merge into one person. You're supposed to stand side by side, both whole, and choose each other again and again. That idea changes how you look at love. Because so often, we're told that love means becoming one. But maybe that's not the goal. Maybe love works best when you remain yourself, when you have your own world and you invite the other person into it, instead of abandoning it entirely. What's fascinating is that so much of what Johnny says mirrors what relationship experts have been saying for years. Many therapists talk about the importance of microconnections, small, consistent moments of attention and care that keep love alive. Things like checking in during the day, sharing little jokes, or giving a compliment out of nowhere. Johnny just lives this naturally. He doesn't treat love like a job or a set of rules. He simply notices the small things and values them. Another lesson he's picked up is not expecting one person to be your everything. It sounds romantic to have one person fill every role in your life: best friend, emotional support, adventure partner, comfort zone, but it's also overwhelming. No one can live up to that. Johnny knows that putting that kind of pressure on a relationship can crush it. That's why he believes it's important to have a life outside of it: friendships, hobbies, personal dreams. When you have a full life, you don't cling to your partner because you need them to complete you. You choose them because you want them there. And then there's something deceptively simple he talks about: listening. He says some of the most meaningful moments in his relationships came from truly listening to the other person. Not half listening while scrolling on a phone. Not thinking about what you're going to say next. Just listening. Really hearing them. Understanding not only the words, but the feelings underneath them. It's a small thing, but in a world full of distractions, it's rare. And maybe that's why it matters so much. You can tell these aren't just things he's read in a book or picked up in a seminar. They're lessons learned through living. Through joy. Through heartbreak. Through moments when love seemed unshakable and moments when it felt like it was slipping away. He's seen the good and the bad, the beauty and the pain, and he's come out with a perspective that feels both grounded and hopeful. Listening to him, you realize that true love, at least the way he sees it, is less about perfection and more about persistence. It's less about fireworks and more about the steady flame that burns even when the wind is blowing hard. It's about showing up, day after day, even when it's not easy. It's about holding on to the small things, the daily proof, the little acts that say, "I'm here," without needing words. And maybe that's what makes his words stick. They're not about creating the perfect romance for the world to see. They're about building something real for yourself and the person you love. Something that doesn't need to be broadcasted, because it's strong enough to exist quietly. It makes you think, doesn't it? About your own life. Your own relationships. What's your definition of true love? Is it the grand gestures, the once-in-a-lifetime trips, the dramatic confessions? Or is it the everyday proof, the laughter after a bad day, the hand that reaches for yours without thinking, the decision to stay when it would be easier to go? Because if Johnny Depp's perspective teaches us anything, it's that love is not always loud. Sometimes, it's quiet. But that doesn't make it any less powerful. In fact, maybe that's what makes it last.